Greetings, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes. Excuse me. And today, I will actually be digging into the Marvel Universe. And for those of you who recognize this character, this is going to be, I pulled this one out my ass. For those of you that don't know this character, allow me to introduce the character of Deathlok, or Deathlok the Demolisher, as most people call this character. And there have actually been many different versions of Deathlok, but the main two were Luther Manning and Michael Collins. But I'm going to adapt all the Deathloks up until now. Okay, so the first appearance of Luther Manning was in Astonishing Tales issue 25 of August of 1974, whereas Collins was created in Deathlok number 1 in July of 1990. Manning was created by Doug Moench, I think is how you pronounce his name, Moench, and Rich Buckler. Collins was created by the late great Dwayne McDuffie, Gregory Wright, and Jackson Guice, Guice. Okay, Manning was part of the CIA. Collins has been part of the Secret Defenders, Wild Pack. All three versions of Deathlok have also been a part of S.H.I.E.L.D., the United States Army. Apparently, Young and Truman, which are two other versions, were part of MTech. And Deathlok Prime Unit L-17 was part of X-Force and Jean Grey's school staff. The abilities of every single Deathlok is cybernetic enhancements, granting superhuman strength, speed, durability, and reflexes. They are able to somewhat self-repair or heal faster than a regular human because they're cybernetic enhancements, and they are able to have extreme tracking systems that include thermal imaging, X-ray vision. Not so much X-ray vision, but basically they have all the many different, like thermal, night vision, all that stuff. Also, on top of that, they are, for the most part, highly resistant to pain due to the fact that the Deathloks are basically created from corpses. So they're kind of like, cyborg zombies, in a way, if you will. So, let's get into it, shall we, with Luther Manning, the very first Deathlok. Colonel Luther Manning is a United States soldier from Detroit, Michigan, who, after being fatally injured, is reanimated in a post-apocalyptic future originally given the date of 1990, and to find what remains of his dead body has been turned into an experimental Deathlok cyborg, and by Simon Riker. He verbally communicates with his symbiotic computer, to which he refers to as Pooter. He escapes from Riker's control, although he dreams he has regained his humanity. He battles the evil corporate and military regimes that have taken over the U.S., while simultaneously struggling not to lose his humanity. He battles Simon Riker and the very first Warwolf, and encounters his son and wife for the first time after becoming a cyborg. He then battles Riker's super tank, and he then begins a hunt for a cyborg doctor. He then battles Simon Riker as the Savior Machine, and his mind is ultimately transferred into a clone body. He battles mutants alongside a time-traveling Spider-Man. He begins work for the CIA, encounters Godwolf for the first time, the supervillain Godwolf for the first time, and is then finally sent back in time to the modern era. He battles the Devil Slayer, but then battles demons alongside Devil Slayer. He later becomes controlled by Mentallo, 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 got tongue twist there, and the Fixer. He is sent to assassinate the president, but is stopped by Ben Grimm and Nick Fury. After his capture, he becomes catatonic and is taken to England by Ben for treatment. After he is cured by Lewis Knort, Knort, and Nick Fury takes him into custody afterwards. Deathlok is rebuilt by the corporation Roxxon as a robot, but is sent to sabotage Project Pegasus. He battles Ben Grimm and Quasar, and then decides to self-destruct. However, we find out this was a robot duplicate, and that the real Deathlok is actually working for Brand Corporation, and battles Captain America and a time-traveling Luther Manning clone. However, he later teams up alongside Cap, Godwolf, and the Redeemers. There we go. He battles Hellinger. Yeah, Hellinger. Sometime later, the mainstream timeline, Luther Manning begins dreaming he is Deathlok. He is charged with temporal energy by Timestream. Timestream recruits this mainstream human Manning, Deathlok. So Deathlok, Timestream, and Manning battle the Collins Deathlok, Surge, and Godwolf. The Manning Deathlok eventually returns to his own time and overthrows the megalomaniac who had taken over the country. He remains in his near future alternate reality, searching for a purpose in life and unable to disconnect himself from the machine bonded to him. Eventually, he travels to the mainstream Marvel universe and encounters Daredevil and the Kingpin. He lives a life of solitude until he is apprehended by S.H.I.E.L.D., from whom he is later kidnapped by the supervillain the Owl and immobilized, put up for auction as a weapon. Before a sale can be completed, he is stolen by the crime lord the Hood and sent on a kamikaze decoy run. And eventually, the Deathlok after that would be John Kelly, who first appeared as Deathlok in Marvel Comics Presents issue 62. This version was originally controlled by Kelly until its systems determined that Kelly's brain functions were detrimental to its completion of its first run program. After it had completed its mission, it actually removed Kelly's brain from its systems and disposed of it. One of Riker's assistants took the brain and presumably used it in the Siege unit. Yeah, Siege is actually the name of the character. Yeah, in the Siege unit. This version was made by the U.S. Army, by the CIA's Deathlok program co-head, Harlan Riker. After studying Luther Manning's cyborg body, he would later go on to become Siege. Now we go on to Michael Collins, probably the most recognized of the Deathloks, and probably the most heroic one at that. Professor Michael Collins was born in Philadelphia, PA, and he was a pacifist working for Roxxon Oil's cybernetics corporation, Cybertech. Upon discovering the Deathlok program, he is sedated and his brain is transplanted into the body of John Kelly's, Deathlok cyborg. The machine was used against rebels fighting against Roxxon's influence in the fictional South American country of Estrella, Estrella. However, when Collins regains his consciousness during that mission and stops the cyber programming from actually murdering a small child. Though his brain was intended to serve as a medium for the robotic body's programming, he is able to actually assert his will over it, even so much as mentally installing a no-kill parameter into its programming. The computer fully and willingly actually listens to Collins, though he must take great care to specifically present his orders in a way that both not only fulfills the mission, but also prevents casualties. The computer is fully capable of understanding concepts such as bluffing when Collins mock fakes taking a hostage. He meets Julio I yeah, I can't pronounce the character's name, but he battles battles Mainframe. When he learns that his human body is still alive, he encounters Nick Fury and Shield. Harlan Riker hides his human body, but Colin aids Nick Fury and Shield in preventing a nuclear strike on the U.S. With the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Misty Knight's help, he battles Mecha Doom. He then meets the Punisher and battles Silvermane. He then meets and fights Moses Magnum, and then finally reveals his existence to his family for the first time. He begins the search for his human body. During this time, he fought Sleepwalker and helped Silver Sable retrieve a porcelain. I don't know how to pronounce that. Statue of Liberty. He assists a makeshift team of other heroes during the Maximum Carnage incident, protecting the people of New York City from the mass murdering group of supervillains led by Cletus Cassidy. Ultimately, he would gain the ability, however, later on after he found his human form, or rather his human body, I should say. He eventually somehow obtained the ability to actually shift between his Deathlok body and his human body at will. During the events of the series Beyond, the cosmic being, the Stranger, pretending to be the Beyonder, transported Collins to an alien world where he was forced to live for years until being rescued with the aid of several other heroes. However, this rescue was somewhat short-lived and alleviating, as the superhero Gravity would actually sacrifice himself in order to get Collins back home. As a detrimental act of gratitude, Collins fully arranged for Gravity's funeral and burial. When Greg Willis, Gravity, was later stolen by a cosmic entity known as Epoch, which is E-P-O-C-H. I probably just messed that name up. Colin enlists the aid of the Fantastic Four in retrieving it. And here we go. Jack Truman and Larry Young. Jack Truman was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who was transformed into a cyborg to battle the Red Skull. Through telepathic means, he eventually swapped his mind into the body of another former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Larry Young. Young is being considered as a potential recruit for the Initiative program. During Dark Reign, a Hammer Strike Force team consisting of corpses animated with crude bionics are sent to capture a super soldier research center known as the World. These models acted like traditional zombies craving brains. Their mission was unsuccessful, and as a result, the research group that produced them, Project Deathlok, was scrapped. And Wolverine's Black Ops team joins an alternate future Deathlok Prime, now free from its suicidal human host's brain, to face down invaders from a possible future where X-Force and all other heroes have been turned into Deathloks controlled by worldly authorities with popular support, which produces a crime-free utopia for everybody else. He would later appear as a guest speaker in one of Jean Grey's School for Higher Learning classes, but it quickly devolved into an exercise in fortune-telling, as he later revealed to each one of the students their future, and presented them with the possibilities of them occurring. And he would... Alright, and he would... Yeah. Notably, he refused to comment on Genesis's future. However, he would reveal to him in private that only he can choose his fate. So, that's actually kind of it, guys. That's actually pretty much it. That's Deathlok. Pretty obscure Marvel character. I think he's a character that many would really argue against. Like, he's just that character that you look at him. I mean, even looking at the character, he doesn't look heroic, does he? But I think that's the cool part about Deathlok, is that he's, in a sense, a cybernetic super soldier. And I find that very intriguing, and while many would argue that Deathlok looks more like a supervillain, I like Deathlok as a hero. It not only makes him unique, but there's something that's genuinely sympathetic about the character as well. So with that, guys, as I said, this is Deathlok's video. Stay tuned for all the others, as always. And hope you enjoyed this one.